In this tutorial, I want to show you a little hack, little trick for improving performance. While it is true that there's a plugin that allows you to run Substance materials directly in 3ds Max, as well as in game engines like Unity and Unreal 4, sometimes those can be a little taxing on memory. So one thing that you can do is this little trick here. So I have an empty scene. I'm just going to make a plane here in the perspective view, and I'm going to make it 400 units by 400 units. That's length and width. And I'm going to hit create. Right click, hit Z to zoom out. Now, when you create a plane, double check to make sure generate mapping coordinates is turned on, right, which it is by default. And now this simple flat square plane now is perfectly set up for us to bake out a texture. So let's call this LP plane. All right. I'm now going to save this file. So let's do save. And I'm just going to do this on my desktop in my demos folder. I'm going to call it subbake. There we go. I've saved my file. I'm going to go ahead and just as a habit, I like to put an extra edit poly onto my meshes before I export them out so they don't triangulate. Export selected. I'm going to export this out as an FBX file to that same location on the desktop. My demos, my subbake folder, subbake _LP, and I hit save. Alright, now that's really all that I need 3ds Max for. Everything else I'm going to do inside of Substance. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to close Max and open up Substance because I want to make sure my computer doesn't crash. I've loaded up Substance Painter. I've gone in to File, New Project, and I've set it to Unreal Engine 4 because that's what I'm using for currently. You can change it to whatever setting you need for this. Now I'm going to come in here. I've already clicked File and Select, and I'm going to select my low poly here, and I'm just going to click OK. Now this loads in this simple flat plane. If I hold Alt and click, you'll see because it was flat just sitting there, you weren't actually seeing anything in the 3D view. Okay, I'm just going to go to Texture Set Settings, go to Bake Mesh Maps, and click Use Low Poly Mesh as High Poly Mesh, and I'm now going to bake my materials. Alright, so you can see those are baking really quick just because it's a very simple plane. You do need these for some of these materials to work. Alright, so now at this point, whatever material it is that you have that you want to be using, that you want to just bake out your basic textures for, you could go through and just add it in. And so for purposes, I'm just going to bring over this concrete simple. And now I'm just going to do File, Export Textures. I'm going to specify that same location in my demo folder. Select the folder, and I'm going to export. All right, and now this is going through and it's baking my textures. I can save this, subbake. Anytime that I want to bake out my textures, anytime I want to bake out a material in this way, I could always come back and use this same file. I'm now going to close Unreal, or close Substance, and open up the folder those files are located in. Here I am inside that folder. If I right click and say View, Large Icons, I can see my textures. Now because the texture is named based on the name of the mesh, the material name, and then the material type, we need to rename it. This was a concrete texture. And so I'm just going to call it concrete _ BC for base color. I'm going to copy the front of that, and then I'm going to go into the last one. I'm going to rename that AORM for ambient occlusion, roughness, and metallic. And then the very last one I'm going to rename as _N for normal. Now I have these textures, and they have both a base color, your ambient occlusion, roughness, and metallic, and your normal map information. And now you could use those inside of, in this case, I can use them in Unreal 4, and you could bake them out in whatever format you need for whatever program that you're currently working in.